Good afternoon from Okinawa, Japan, home of OkiSubies. Today, we're going to show you how to roll fenders on your car. Of course, Subaru only here, so in fashion we have a Subaru here. This one is actually a really cool car. It's a Subaru V4 Legacy, but it's the Blitzen edition. So Subaru in these years, they have the wing, the bumper. The front bumper the customers changed, but the grille, there's some differences. The red is the collaboration with Porsche. So pretty cool car. But the customer states that when he's got some friends in the back seat, the suspension is real soft and it's hitting the tires, and you can see all the marks on the tires in itself. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and show you how to roll fenders. Kind of common sense type stuff, but there's a few tricks to the trade that we do that helps the process a little bit too. So let's get ready and get at it. All right, so the tools that you use, you just need a heat gun, fender roller, or even a rubber mallet will actually work too. Rubber mallet, you're gonna have a lot higher chances of cracking the paint because the movement of the metal in itself is a lot quicker because you're doing it by bangs, so you can crack the paint easier. These ones right here, you can really slowly roll the fenders, which helps a lot, and they're cheap too. They're like, I don't even know how much they are, probably like $100. You could probably get them for pretty cheap, like on Amazon or something like that. But if you look right here, you can see what happens is as the tire rolls forward and it hits, it'll actually pull it down, and you can see that it's actually folded in. The goal is to fold it in this way. So what we do is we will use for these portions, we'll use the rubber mallet and actually bend it in just a tad bit, and then we'll put the fender roller on there. But for the gun, like how do you heat it up? Like I just heat it up and just touch it, just to like on the back side of your hand to where it's like almost uncomfortable, right? Where it's a little bit hot, and not a little bit hot, but I mean, you don't want to go too hot and start boiling the paint, but hot enough to get that flex in the paint and whatnot. So sometimes you could still end up cracking it, but taking it slowly and should work. Yeah, it should work. Let's check it out. As you can see right here, the angle is down. When you're rolling the fender, you're pressing it up like this. So if you have any pieces like this, you want to make sure that you put them up first, because what you're going to do is you're going to hit the fender roller and it's going to actually pull it down or pull your fender out. So what you want to do is you want to just lightly tap just like that. You can see a lot of dust coming in the back too. So what we're going to do is we're not going to really be rolling the fenders where it's flat on the back. If you are, you want to make sure, look at all that, good night. You're gonna, either way, huh? Let's make sure that we clean that up. But yeah, if you're really folding the fender completely towards the back side of this, you really want to make sure you clean it, because if you have any rocks or dust or dirt in there, it could bind and get stuck in between the two pieces of metal. As you put it in like that, you'll have some dirt and dust in there. So yeah, I'll clean that and then be right back. Another little tip too is when you're hitting it right there, it looks like I'm hitting it pretty hard, but if you look on the bottom right here, you can actually see these little indents. So these little indents right here is like where they kind of tack weld the two pieces of metal. So there's one piece of metal here, and then there's another piece on the inside that folds over, and then they spot weld it in these portions right here. These portions right here seem to be a lot stronger, right? So I'll actually, where those spot welds are, or those tack welds, spot welds, whatever you want to call it, there's probably a proper name for it, but you basically, I'm hitting those portions. And as you hit those portions, the inner portion is so much easier. You barely have to tap it after you hit these portions in a little bit more. just gonna keep making sure that it stays warm. So this one here can actually be a little bit more difficult because the suspension is so far down. It's not the ride height that's making the actual tires hit the fenders, it's the actual choice of wheel, right? So if the offset is aggressive, tires are fat, it can roll the fenders. These ones right here, the back suspension is just pretty soft too. But so yeah, what you want to do is you're bringing it in, and when you roll it, you don't want an aggressive angle like this where it's flat. This is going to be the end result of your roll. So if you see here, you can angle it and rotate this portion here, and then you're going to want to bring it up higher, and you want to try to get as much of an angle that's matching your current angle. Make sure your side brake is down. I was like, what in the world is going on here? Okay, now so go ahead and try to get an angle like this. So you can see the angle there, and you'll go in away from the fender, right? And you can start to slowly. Oh, it's so much better. Good. I was like, why is this? Is it because it's an automatic? You don't want to get too aggressive, and you can really, for the most part, just using this slowly. You're not really rolling it, but you're just kind of pressing it. Once you have the pressure on, you're just slowly angling it. And then get that curve to it. And the main portion, the actual main point, right? You can kind of see this angle. It bumps in and then it kind of bumps out. That second bump is kind of what you want the angle to be, like the fold to be, if you will, is what I usually shoot for. And it naturally, as you start pushing it in, it naturally will want to be there anyways. But so that's the portion that tends to crack a lot. So you want to make sure at least that is nice and warm. And then next, we'll go ahead and we'll bring it in. And then once you bring it in, now you want more of that aggressive angle. And even if you have an aggressive angle, you don't have to use it all completely, right? You can just slowly press it in. This with the heat gun, because you're basically blending the bigger fold with the fold that you had last with what you have before. And sometimes there's some aggressive bends. Just make sure that you heat that up before you continue on. And then now for the last one, you could tell even right here, I've grinded down. So before it's completely flat, I actually grinded this down, because if you can put it like that, then that's like that last one where you can get it looking really nice. Oh, and then for the last portion, it's really just blending that in so it doesn't have like this big old bump sticking out right here. That's pretty much it. That's pretty good. I'm happy with that. Rolled in on the inside. 0 cracks in the paint. From this point on, if you were to continue to press, that's when you start pulling fenders. So this is rolling the fenders, where you're literally just rolling that bottom end. When you start pulling the fenders, after it's rolled from that backside, you're essentially pushing the fenders or pulling the fenders towards yourself. And that's when you start getting this angle right here. You can start to kind of flatten this out so it's not so straight down, but it goes farther out, and you can fit a lot more aggressive wheels, but still looking semi OEM. So yeah, that's how we roll fenders here at OkiSubies. But it's all about taking your time. This right here makes a huge difference. If you're not too worried about paint, then yeah, you can get a rubber mallet and bang it out too. But out here in Okinawa, you start cracking paint, and that's where rust can start. So it's really important out here for us to not crack the paint. And if you do, to try to put a little bit of Por 15 or something along those lines inside of it so it won't start rusting. But yeah, I think with this much done right here, yeah, there's a little bit more. Maybe we can, no, that's good. That's good. Yeah. And then we'll go ahead and put everything back together. We'll do the other side, but that's the same thing. No point in showing you the same thing twice. But, and then we'll let the customers put his big friends in the back and test it out, and hopefully it won't rub anymore. But that's how you roll fenders, guys. Thanks for watching.